What's up, guys? Big Papa Drock back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I am stoked, guys. I am stoked. One, because I'm having a pretty good day, and I hope that you are as well. But I'm stoked because I'm finally going to get to test Fabian in the arena and build Fabian and show him off and see what he can do. And man, I'm stoked because, you know, as we all know, his kit looks incredible, and I'm really hoping that he lives up to the hype. So that is today's video, guys. It's been a long time coming. Sorry it took so long, but hopefully it will be worth it in the end. We're going to discuss multiple different ways to build Fabian, take him into the arena, see what he can do, a couple different team comps that we can throw out there, and then essentially we'll get a better idea of what he's capable of. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and let's take a look at our boy Fabian and discuss what his skills are and then how best to build him. Let's start with the skills as always to get an idea of exactly what this champion does. We got the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit steals 10% of the target's turn meter. Places a True Fear debuff for 2 turns if the target's turn meter is fully depleted. Cool. Hey, True Fear, man. True Fear on the A1. Stealing target turn meter on the A1. That's great, except for champions like Marius, who's obviously a big part of the meta now. So something to be aware of, that he could get you in trouble if you're A1ing a Marius. And we've got the A2, attacks one enemy, places a petrification debuff for 1 turn, has a 75% chance of placing a True Fear debuff for 2 turns on all other enemies who are not under a Fear or True Fear debuff. Obviously, this is an insane part of his kit. You get Petrify, you get True Fear, which is pretty great. You know what I mean? It's not as good as something that's a pure lockout, or really, even in some ways, block active skills could be considered better, because you could still pop a skill off with True Fear, but hey, not bad. Take a look at the passive, though. Activates this skill whenever an enemy under a Fear or True Fear debuff successfully uses a skill. If there are multiple champions on the team with a skill, only one will activate. Now we see why this skill is to be feared, because even if you manage to pop a skill off, he's going to come back and petrify you, you know, if the True Fear doesn't come into play. So now this skill gets really nasty, right? And crazy amount of control potential in this skill with being able to you know, essentially petrify someone after the fact. Now that depends on if you survive, right? If you're facing a nuker and they blast you and you don't live, well, then it's not really going to matter, you know, if they ignored your True Fear because you're dead. So that's the one downside of this. But again, still a really, really, really strong A2. Take a look at the A3, Spectral Flourish, attacks all enemies before attacking, has a 75% chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 3 turns. Oh, baby. Has a 75% chance in all this books to 100% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 3 turns. Grants an extra turn if there are no buffs in the enemy team after this attack. My God. This A3 is incredible. Incredible in the current meta because, one, you're not stealing any type of buff, right? So you're not triggering polymorph with the skill. Now you can trigger it with this one, and that's an important part of his kit to understand, and part of why, you know, the way I've built him, I built him the way I built him, which we'll get into in a little bit. But at least on the A3, you can't trigger polymorph. You do get a cooldown. The downside, of course, is that he is specific. He is a spirit affinity, and unfortunately in today's arena, that is really not a good affinity for Fabian to be. He would have been much, much, much stronger if they had made him Force Affinity or even Magic Affinity, because as it stands now, some of the most powerful champions in the game are Magic Affinity at the moment. You know, think Siegfried, you know what I mean? Think Armands, think that kind of stuff. But still, even with his affinity matchup issues against certain champions, Gizmak as well, not that it really matters since he's a mythical and he can just switch forms anyway. Even still, this is a really, really, really strong skill. Now, grants an extra turn only if there are no buffs. So there's a lot of counterplay to Fabian. There's protection set, of course. There's stone skin, because you're not guaranteed the opportunity to decrease the duration of stone skin. So it's not like this is a guaranteed thing to happen where you just come in there, you strip all the buffs, or I should say you decrease the duration of all the buffs, and then you pop over the A2 and you just automatically win. So there is counterplay, and that is a good thing. He's not a guaranteed domination thing, but he still seems really strong reading that. Let's take a look at the passive now. Ghost with the most. Whenever an enemy is revived, places a True Fear debuff on that enemy for 2 turns if there are multiple champions on the team with a skill This effect will only activate once, and then here we go. Removes any stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, and petrification debuffs from this champion before the start of the turn. Wow. Wow, right? I mean, this is a hard, in some ways, Sun Wukong counter where you're throwing out true fear and at least giving yourself a chance to make Sun Wukong miss a turn. You know, any kind of reviver, really, potentially. Galathier, with all the revives he throws out there. Marichka, reviving other people. I mean, this is an incredible skill. And the fact that you can't CC him, right? Stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, and petrification don't work. That is awesome. But again, there's one thing missing from this skill, and I think we all know what it is. It is sheep. It is sheep. Is this a good thing, right? That he can ignore everything except for sheep? I mean, yeah, it probably keeps him balanced. Sheep is still really, really strong in arena. Still difficult to deal with, you know, unless you have a wand, and then you're just kind of tossing it back and forth. So we're kind of playing into the RNG aspect of Raid Shadow Legends when we discuss sheep, but at the same time, you have to be aware of it because part of his kit is going to potentially get you sheeped. You know, so tough. But overall, the kit is really, really, really strong. At least it reads really strong, and we'll get him into arena to find out. Let's take a look at the masteries and what I've gone down here directionally. So we're going Eagle Eye. We need accuracy on this champion. He doesn't ignore resistance. He is a legendary. He needs accuracy to land those debuffs and land that cooldown, that lockout. So we definitely want to go Eagle Eye here. I've also gone Cycle of Magic and Lore of Steel, trying to boost up some of his stats here with Lore of Steel. Cycle of Magic to potentially decrease the chance of his turns cooldowns, which is really, really, really big. Also gone Cycle of Revenge because I want him getting his turns back as quick as possible. And if someone else gets hit with a crit, then he's going to get a little bit of turn meter. Again, the big thing here is, does he survive? If he gets hit, you know, who knows? So we'll see how often this comes into play. It's also part of why I didn't go with counterattack, because I don't know how often he's going to be counterattacking if he's getting hit for more than 25% of his max HP. This champion isn't going to be built super tanky, especially with no souls on him. So I didn't go Retribution here. Also, I don't want him counterattacking potentially a Marius. I don't want him, you know, decreasing turn meter and triggering that passive. So that's why I didn't go that route. We've got Arcane Celerity here so that when he's casting these debuffs and they are expiring, he's getting his turn meter back faster potentially, which is really big. Then also, I'm a big fan of Shadow Heal on champions where they get a bonus heal when someone else gets healed, just in case. You know, maybe it's the deciding thing between him dying and him staying alive. So this is how I've rolled. I've gone defense, I've gone support. I think Eagle Eye is the clear example of what you want. And then I've also gone Spirit Haste just in case he's the last guy left alive. Maybe he gets a chance to take somebody down, or maybe he gets a little bit faster if you lose someone else to get that control back into play. So this is how I've done it. I think you could go a couple different ways here, but as long as you're grabbing Eagle Eye, you're probably doing the right thing. All right, let's take a look now at blessings quickly. I don't have a blessing on him, of course. I don't have a soul for him yet. Let's discuss what makes the most sense for blessings for Fabian, and it really depends on how you're going to build him. You got a couple different options here. You could certainly go Intimidating Presence if you don't have anyone else on your team with that. Give him an opportunity to increase his aura or increase someone else's aura. You can always go Polymorph. That's always viable, especially if you're lower level and you're not as worried about Wand of Submission. You could go, let's see, Life Harvest absolutely could work as well. You could also go something like Temporal Chains. There's a lot of different things you could do here. And then maybe a Lightning Cage if you're building him, for example, in Stone Skin. Now, I haven't built him in Stone Skin, and I'll explain why. But you have a lot of different options in terms of what blessings you can pick. It really just comes down to what your build is going to be. So, on that note, and we'll get to this in a second, to the Relic, we'll go build first. You'll notice here for the build, I have chosen to go 6-piece pinpoint. Now, the reason for that is I am leaning more in the speed direction for this current build, which I think can be tough to do, especially without a soul. Certainly, he will be way more viable if I can get a soul on him and increase his speed even further, especially if it's 6-star. But I still think overall that this is one of the better builds for him, just because I really don't want to get sheeped on the A2. I really don't want to get sheeped in the A2. It can absolutely destroy your fight getting him sheeped. And so it's one of those things where, for me, I feel like this is probably the best build for my account. Now, you can also go Stone Skin and Pinpoint. You can also go Stone Skin and Supersonic. You can go all out speed and pray to God you don't get sheeped. So there's lots of different ways depending on what gear is best for your account. If I weren't building him in Pinpoint, I would probably say that Stone Skin Supersonic would be my second choice, or Stone Skin Pinpoint would be my second choice if I couldn't get him really fast. Try to give him a little more tankiness, a little more survivability. But for my account, I think this build makes the most sense for what I'm rocking. So let's take a look specifically at the gear, and then we'll look at the stats. We've got a triple speed roll, pinpoint piece with some accuracy. Let's boost that up. Hold on a second. We can't have that. Let's 6-star roll. 14, close enough. We'll take that. So triple speed up here. We've got only a double speed divine speed helmet. So frankly, I want this to be better, but this is the best I can do on the optimizer while still keeping his accuracy respectable. So really could upgrade here. We've got a triple roll speed on the shield with some accuracy as well. We got lots of glyphs on him. Then we've got speed and speed on the boots, a little bit of accuracy there, an accuracy chest piece, an actual triple roll, though it is a low one, unfortunately. So I do happen to have one triple accuracy piece for chest. And then you'll notice he's in crit damage here because I stole this off my Gizmac, because it's actually the fastest piece I have for Pinpoint for a glove. So ideally this is HP percentage, right? Like we much prefer for this to be HP percentage. Obviously this should be speed. This should absolutely be accuracy most of the time, unless you can get really crazy stats and keep HP percentage here. But for the most part, you're going HP down here to keep him alive a little bit longer, and you're going speed to make sure he goes as fast as is humanly possible. Now let's take a look at the accessories. Oh baby, quad speed roll, baby. You love to see it. Accuracy piece with an accuracy ascension. That's the way to roll. And we've got more pinpoint on him here. Getting some more accuracy. Would love to get more here. We got HP for some survivability. I just rolled this up to defense. That's what I had laying around. And then we've got a defense-based ring. Again, you could go HP. I think HP is typically better off. But this is just the best piece I have currently on my account. Let's actually roll this defense up. We got to get a little bit on there. I'm not gonna 6-star it, but there we go. Okay, we got a little bit bonus. So, what does this all add up to for my Fabian? And again, 0 souls, as you can see. We've got 62k HP, 3,800 defense. So he's not tanky in this build. He is not tanky whatsoever, and that is something to be aware of. We've got 381 speed, which isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad given that he doesn't have a soul. Would really love to see this at my level closer to 420, 430. He's not going to be your speed lead, right? So he's probably going to be your secondary champion behind your speed lead. So anything over 400 would be pretty solid, especially in pinpoint for at least for my account. But faster, of course, is better. Faster is better. And then the other big thing that matters here is accuracy, 652. Now, you're not going to run into a ton of things that are built resistance in arena most of the time in live arena, but occasionally you will find people that do that. So would I love to have closer to 800, 900 accuracy? Sure, absolutely. And certainly getting a soul will get me a lot closer with a, potentially 75 boost there. We'll get up over 700, but this should be enough accuracy to deal with nukers, to deal with most people's supports in the game, at my level. Typically, people aren't building resistance. You might run into a resistance Galathier where this becomes a problem. Certainly, Crixia might have some issues here, so that would be the other thing. So if I could get closer to 800, 900 without crushing my speed, I would do that. That would be the goal. But again, because I'm building him in pinpoint, I'm a little bit limited. And I also don't have a soul on him. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're building him in Stone Skin and Supersonic, you won't necessarily have to go this fast. So this will be the goal. You can be a little bit slower, maybe have a little bit more accuracy. Same for if you're building him in Stone Skin and Pinpoint, where you're maybe trading off speed for survivability. And you're not as worried about him dying right off the rip. So that's how we build him. Here's the other aspect of his kit, which is the Relic. Part of why I like him in Pinpoint is because it gives me an opportunity to use Orb of Transfixion. Why is Orb of Transfixion on Fabian? Typically, this isn't considered to be a really fantastic relic, right? Well, it's pretty simple. Where it has a 10% chance to steal one random buff when attacking a target, this effect cannot be resisted, occurs once per skill. Keep in mind, on his A3, if there are no buffs on the enemy team left over, he gets that extra turn. So we want to make sure that we give him the absolute highest possible chance of that happening. And so maybe this decreased duration doesn't land, right? Maybe it doesn't land, but maybe a Stone Skin thing gets stolen instead. Maybe Orb of Transfixion kicks in and steals a buff, or we get another chance on somebody's lightning cage to steal a buff. So I honestly think this might be one of the overall best relics to put on him. The other option here, of course, would be something like Wand of Submission to reflect sheep back. You're not worried about him being controlled, of course, but there's nothing wrong with reflecting sheep or reflecting stuns or other things back at somebody with a Wand of Submission. So, a couple different options. Those are your two best relics, I think, to use on him. I'm going to roll with Orbit Transfixion. We're going to see how this plays in Arena. I'm not even going to take him into test damage because there's no point. We're just going to go straight into Arena and see what we can do with him. All right. Super stoked, by the way, because I do think this champion could get some play. Now, it's middle of the week, so the defenses will be hit or miss here. We've obviously got an incredibly strong defense right here. But let's start at the top. We'll start with this defense here. Now, what are we going to do? Probably keep Marius up here. Let's get our Fabian. There's our Fabian. Let's actually pair him, I think, to start with the Mythical Assault. And again, I'll use other champions that aren't mythicals, but these are some of the faster champs on my team. But let's pair him with a Galathier. Let's pair him with an Arbaeus. Get a little turn meter boost on both of these guys, and then we'll throw a Marius in here to finish up. I think I like this. I like this. Okay. Now, granted, I'm using mythicals at the moment. We're going to do non-mythicals as well. But let's start at the top and see how we feel. Picked Arbaeus because I wanted that boost accuracy. And we have Stone Skin, lots of Stone Skin. So probably he's not going to, proc this extra turn. But let's see if he at least gets a strip. Okay, he did cool down, but there was only one strip over here. Or I should say decrease on the Marius, which is, hey, not a bad thing whatsoever. I technically don't have to use this ability on Marius, but I'm going to do it because I want to increase the damage. Cool. Everybody's locked out. Now, places of petrification. Can we place this around a UDK? I wonder. Let's find out. No. So it does get blocked over here by the UDK. But as you see, we do land the True Fears as well, which is never a bad thing. They've got block damage up. We're throwing True Fear everywhere. Let's just see if we can strip. We strip all of the stuff. He's coming in here. He's petrifying. And look at that. You just see that? Right there. Would have been polymorphed. Just triggered. And thank God we've got him in pinpoint because now we're not a sheep. I really strongly feel that pinpoint is the way to go on this champ. I really do. In some scenario. Because otherwise you're just risking becoming a sheep. Now, if you're able to kill everybody before that happens, sure, then it doesn't matter as much. But you're not guaranteed Stone Skin strips with this champion. And even with a Marius coming in, we weren't able to strip the Stone Skin or decrease the duration off of that UDK. So, if you're not going to use pinpoint, go at your own risk. That would be the biggest thing that I say. Just go at your own risk because you do not want to become a sheep. The fastest way to lose in this game is to get sheeped. All right, everything's going pretty much according to plan. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Gotta love UDK's tanking us. Let's just go full auto. We'll just full auto it. We're petrifying. The only thing with petrify too is that you're reducing the damage that these champions take by a lot. Works like freeze in that regard. So anytime you petrify someone, they're going to be harder to kill through that debuff. But hey, he hasn't become a sheep, which is great. And there we go. We get to where we want to go, right? We take him out. Cool. Let's try another team. Ooh, Siegfried. This isn't a super strong account, but this is also a champion that, if built correctly, could be a real problem for Fabian. 1, bad affinity. 2, we've also got a Crixie here that could have a lot of resistance, and it looks like we might have decent resistance, although mythicals are boosting this power up a lot. And we have a Galathier. This would be an interesting one. Let's take a look. Again, we get the increased accuracy. Little turn meter buff here. I'm not switching Galathier into his additional form, though you certainly could do this. Now, interestingly enough, there's only one buff up here. So we should, I would imagine, decrease this by 3 and get an extra turn. Let's find out. Let's actually slow it down so we can really see here. Yeah, and there's the extra turn, just like that. Nice. Petrification debuff. Who do we want to petrify? I don't know if we actually got the Galathir, so we'll petrify the Galathir. Speed it back up. Everyone's got True Fear. Oh. Oh, look at that, though. That's interesting. Now, did he counterattack? There was no skill used. That was really interesting. Why did he counterattack there? He doesn't have a counterattack mastery on. And that wasn't a skill. That was just an A1. Is it maybe he counterattacks even with an A1? I guess, is that considered a skill? Now I'm curious. Because that was great. We came in there and we just messed him up. If people don't have buffs, this champion is a nightmare. All right, let's take a little bit more challenging team. We got Alaz, we got an Arbaeus, we got another Siegfried. I don't see any lightning cage here. Not that it would help specifically with decreasing the duration, but would potentially, help. Well, I guess it really wouldn't for our boy over here because it's going to ignore that anyway. So lightning cage isn't going to help him. So yeah, so actually lightning cage, he could potentially be a good counter for that for Feral Siegfrieds if he weren't bad affinity. That's the one downside. The affinity is definitely not great. All right, slow it down again. It's always so tough to tell what's going on here. So we have a lightning cage buff up here. So we're not going to get an extra turn off this, but we can get rid of the shield here. Let's see if we at least lock him out. Okay, we did get the weak hit on the Siegfried. So this is where you can get into trouble, right? And this is part of where how he fits in the meta can be a little rough. Now, that wasn't a super strong Siegfried, because if it were, we would all be dead right now. But Siegfried definitely can be a big problem for our buddy Fabian. And is probably your overall best counter, just based off of the affinity alone. All right, we kill there. We're back. And we finish him off. Nice. Let's try him without increased accuracy. Commodus as well could be a serious problem too. 26 mil. Let's see if we can get something in here. Yeah, this should be an interesting team. Let's try this, but let's try no mythicals. Who are, we'll go Shuzen because she's my fastest. And then we'll try no Marius to help strip. We'll go, who do I want my damage dealer to be? Rhonda? Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's throw a Rhonda in here. Hey, listen, she might be the meta, guys. She might be the meta. You could honestly pair him with an Armons, too, to have a better chance of stripping Stone Skin. And that might be one of the best ways to use him in Classic Arena is get multiple people on the team that give you the opportunity to decrease the duration of buffs or to strip buffs, right? Throw an Armons in there. You could even throw like a Sun Wukong potentially. Certainly Galathir can work in his second form. There's a lot of different options. Even Arbaeus potentially as a stripper could work. Who else do I want to throw in here? I'm like, who do I want? We got Rhonda for damage. I'm going to throw, this is kind of an old school team here. This is like old school before Mythicals, came in to dominate the game. Let's see what we got. So we got a lot of buffs here. A lot of buffs. Highly doubt that we're stripping all of these buffs, right? Thankfully, we didn't get enfeebled here. That could really mess you up too, because this is an attack. And if you don't land the attack, you're not going to land the effects. So, okay, let's go in with the A3. We got to cool down everybody. We didn't get a strip because this is bolster. That's the other way to counter him, right? Bolster, major issue for our buddy Fabian. Major issue. Now, hold on a second here. Block passives. Ooh, didn't get enough damage, man. That's kind of tough. We'll try again. Increase the attack. Bolster set coming through huge. Our Necrit keeping people alive. This was when Raid was pure, guys. This was pure Raid. Should be able to petrify him, yeah, because he was cooled down. Hey, Rhonda doing her thing. All right, let's take out this Marichka. Nice. Let's go ahead and just blast this Marius. Finish him. Okay, so there you go. So there's your answer right there. So even on the A1, even if it's an A1, even if it's not an active skill, Fabian will come in and will hit with that A2. So it doesn't even matter. If they trigger any kind of action, A1, A2, A3, A4, doesn't matter. He's going to come in there and use that A2. Man, I really think you want this guy in a pinpoint set, man. I'm just saying, if you don't have him in pinpoint, dude is going to live as a sheep. He is going to live as a sheep, guys. But look at that. The old school arena working. Rhonda, the true meta coming through. Let's see if we can get some stronger teams in here. Some stronger teams. To me, this is like a great example of a champion that is really, really, really good, but isn't as broken in some ways as a champion like Armand's would be, right? You know, like he has like real counterplay here in a way that Armand's doesn't other than sheep, or didn't other than sheep. There are more champions now. But let's go back in here. We got a Carnage. This should be fun. This is a very off-meta teams. Oh, gee. What? Wait, what? What is the speed of this Necmo? Hold on. So you got polymorph there. You see that? Polymorphed. Kill the Carnage. Can Rhonda stay alive to win? Can Rhonda do it? Is Rhonda the meta? Is Rhonda the meta? Has it always been Rhonda? This is great. This is a combo Rhonda vid. Bro, what was... Oh, did I take something off of Shuzen? I don't think I did. I guess the Carnage Speed Aura made that much of a difference, even though it's only 3%. I'm just trying... There's no temporal chains. Dude, what is the speed on his Necmo? Hold on. I got to actually investigate this because my Shuzen is pretty quick. So now I'm really curious. Hey, Tatit Rhonda, also the protection debuff, or excuse me, protection buff from Necrit coming in clutch there. Protection set legitimately good. Whoa, what? Wow, that's like a 470, I guess with the aura, that's a 470 something speed Necmo. That's actually awesome. What an awesome surprise. Because you would look at that team and you'd think, oh, Necmo, it's only +2. Surely this shouldn't be a problem. I mean, and again, Carnage's aura is only 33% versus Shuzen's 30%. So this has got to be a pretty fast 450, 460 speed Necmo somewhere in that area, which is great. I love that. I love when people have stuff like that. But again, you saw the pinpoint come into play, right? His Fabian got sheeped. Didn't have pinpoint on him, and now you're sheeped, and now you lose a fight that you easily would have won in any other circumstance. Let's go against a Harima. Harima Marichka. I'm kind of liking this old school feel. This to me was the absolute best era of Raid Shadow Legends, when you had Necrit, you had Leorius, you had the Kaimar, the Lady Kimi. There were more reaction sets. There was no Stone Skin. There was no polymorph. It just was, it was bliss. It was bliss. We got enfeebled. Not good. Not good. We got enfeebled. So we'll go ahead and just use this, even though we know it's not going to work because it's an all enemies hit, but I wanted to illustrate that. So with the enfeeble, we will get nothing. Weak. Wait, decrease. Wait, what? Hold on. Does he do that before? Never mind. Maybe he does that before. Well, now, hold on. Now I want to try this again. Let's take the loss here. Does he do that before? Let's take a quick look at this kid again. Before attacking, never mind. You can still, so even with an enfeeble, I see this is why you got to, reread stuff just to remember. So again, attacks all enemies before attacking has a 75% chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 3 turns. Oh, that is sick. What a well done champion, because then you aren't as afraid. Then he can actually be that counter in some ways to Marius type teams that are built in lots of stone skin. Oh, that is so sick. Let's do it again. You're gonna enfeeble Mina. I didn't get the enfeeble this time, but that's okay. Let's bust it out. But this just goes to show you how hard it is to deal with Stone Skin, right? Stone Skin really does counter this guy pretty freaking hard. We didn't get a single decrease there on anybody, and therefore he doesn't get the extra turn. And that A2 is what really helps you to start just completely locking somebody out. Now, their cooldowns are all lit up, which is great, but it is something to be aware of. You know, if you are facing a super tanky team with a ton of Stone Skin, you very well might not get the opportunity to do much to him. We're going to save that A2 for the Marichka. Got to block those passives, boys. Do we not land the block passives? That's what is that, block actives or block passives? Have I gone crazy? Why is that block active, not block passive? What the hell just happened? All right, we got the true fear up at least. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Confused as to why that wasn't block passives. We'll have to read Ronda's kit again. Oh, Necrit, my Necrit. My sweet Necrit. Oh, why did I do that? This is a great example of what not to do. You see that? I went and I hit the Marius. I decreased his turn meter. He immediately counterattacked. I guess oh, it got cleansed off. That's what happened. I probably did enough damage where it got cleansed off. Ron's just so meta, man. The amount of damage she does, just so tough. She's just so hard with that damage, boys. Look at her cooking. All right, come on. We got to find a really good... Oh, here we go. This is nice. An Arnorn team and a Taurus Marichka with an Odin. Are we even going to be faster? I don't know. Let's find out. Now, he is going to die if I use his A3. He also, you'll see, he just got one of his pinpoints eaten by Taurus's Fear. So keep in mind, this is something that's burned me in Arena. Anytime you're facing a Taurus, if you only have one stack of pinpoint, and you're an Undead Horde or, what is it, Ogren Tribe or whatever, Demon Spawn, he's going to eat those Fear, that pinpoint stack with that irresistible Fear. Does it make any sense if you're in Stone Skin? Nope, but it's still going to happen. So if you're in Stone Skin and pinpoint, he's going to take away your pinpoint, and you're going to get cooked as a result. I don't want to just, like, sacrifice him. You know what I mean? Oh, no. Shuzen got sheeped, even with a wand. Oh, no. Okay. Well, we can't petrify through pinpoint. We can lock out everybody, which is probably the best play right now, and just sacrifice our Fabian. Goodbye, sweet prince. Goodbye. Can I survive this? Let's find out. Yes, I can. Necrit, you legend. We probably should have used that on our Norn, actually, because our Norn might be able to legitimately, like, wipe us. Oof. Not having that Shuzan going to hurt. We need that Shuzan back. Come home, sheepy. Our Norn at least is locked out. And we're losing attack every single time. Okay, here we go. We at least got the instant turn back. Beautiful. Ronda meta. Confirmed. Huge Ronda meta. Block active skills. She's staying alive. Block the passive. Say goodnight. Ronda meta. Confirmed. Dude, Fabian's good, guys. Fabian is genuinely good. I just think he has more counterplay than Armand's, right? But that's not a bad thing. What's a bad thing in this game is when they introduce completely broken champions that you can't counterplay or that have close to zero counterplay. That is a problem. Dude, we're getting polymorphed again. Incredible. Now, we can't get the lockout here, right? I don't think we can't lock out. We can only decrease buffs. And this is an attack as well. So either way, we'll decrease the buffs here, but we're kind of cooked. Did he have enough for... I guess he had enough to resist this. Because we didn't do anything to that buff there. Interesting. Dude, Protection Necrit, legitimately awesome. She had a pinpoint set on as well, I believe. Let's go auto, finish it off. Go ahead, Rhonda. Cook them up. Let's try them with an Armons. Let's lean into Double Trouble. They kind of look like they could be brothers in some ways. So let's throw them in there with an Armons. Armons, my sweet Armons. All right, we'll get an Armons in there, and then who are we going to do for our damage dealer here? Could do something like Rhodos or, could actually do Siegfried. Let's do Siegfried here. So this will be interesting. Pinpoint, Stone Skin. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buffs, so we can go ahead and do this, and we're fine. He should be fast enough. So let's go ahead and just sheep. Okay, we didn't get a full strip there. She's got Lightning Cage. Let's see if we can decrease. All right, we at least locked out, which is big. Got reaction on that. She's locked out, so we don't have to worry about the turn issues. Hitting her again. Honestly, yeah, let's just do it. Boop. Blast it. Could have saved that for when What's-His-Face comes back, but who cares? Petrify. We ran out of pinpoint. We ran out of pinpoint. Became a sheep. I didn't even see it happen. I tell you, man. I tell you, sheep is the main problem. If you get sheeped, you are in trouble. Now we're in a place where we really don't want to hit this Marichka because we don't want to be controlled by this Taurus. So I guess we'll just bash the Siphi. We can sheep again over here. Block the active skills here. Oh, we got boop, boop, boop. Nothing we could have done there either way. The Siphi would have done what she did. Resisted. Pain. Okay, we can at least now do this. I think her skills are back, though. Yep, sure enough. Just keep sheeping, bro. Keep on sheeping. It's just sheep Shadow Legends, folks. Oh, man, it's just sheep Shadow Legends. Do I want to just go ahead and kill her now? Can I do it? All right, we got it. We transferred off that debuff. Underrated part of Siegfried's kit, that A1 tossing away debuffs. Oh my God, polymorphed over here. Man, this is compelling gameplay, boys. All right, the Swift Parry should be gone. It is. Boom, pop out. Decrease the turn meter. Cool. Instant turn over here. Go ahead and A2. Big boy damage. Our boy lives. Finish it off. It wasn't pretty. It was sheep filled. But hey, it worked. 49 million player power too. Obviously not a weak account. Oh, here we go. A mad guy? Yes. With double Taurus? How can I say no? Let's try one more. And of course, how did we lose pinpoint? Because we lost it to Taurus. Now he's going to go down basically right away. Because we can only sheep one of these guys. Okay, we sheeped there. I have to lock out. I have to sacrifice him. Because if I don't, I die. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the Siegfried. Does she have reaction? She has aspect to Siroth, which is basically reaction in some ways, as we just saw. Oof. Well, that ain't good. Kind of got to transfer this to, I think, the Galathier. Nope, weak hit. Pain. Oh no, oh no. Oh no, oh no. All right, he's at least switched forms, but he can't do anything. And he's stunned again. Oh, sweet Siegfried. Tough. So running Fabian into Taurus Marichka, not a great idea. Unless you have him in Stone Skin. That would be the one way you can get away with this. Is you run him into Taurus Marichka, he's in Stone Skin, and you don't have to worry as much. Let's do one more battle. One more. I can't help myself. All right, we were slower here. We don't care about the Enfeeble. That's fine. Are we going to go first here before the Marius goes? I'm going to risk it and say yes. We'll find out if I was right. Yes, I was. I don't want to get him killed, though. So this is where we're just going to instant turn and lock out. And we did get the strip, but unfortunately, we didn't get everything, and he died anyway. That was just Marius' turn. That wasn't a counter either, which is important to note. Okay. Jesus Christ, Wanna submission is so goofy. The goofiest, boys. Okay, we can at least petrify over here. Beautiful. Block damage does not stand up to petrify. We got polymorphed anyway, which is unfortunate. Come back around. Don't have our form yet. Still do damage, though, which is nice. Now we're going to get locked out by the Yumiko. Tough. Very tough. One more time. He's not like, look, here's my assessment on him. Is he good? Yes, he is. He's absolutely good. We'll try this a little bit differently this time. We'll go ahead and we'll just sheep the Marius this go around. Still faster, though. Didn't get the lockout there, so now we're in trouble. Everything got stripped, but we at least resisted. That was a bad call. I forgot. I keep forgetting the A1. Got to remember that A1 decreases turn meter. Siegfried doing Siegfried stuff here, but he's not locked out, so I think we die. Or is he? We increased the cooldown, thankfully, with our good friend Armand's. Okay. We can decrease all the buffs. Yes, we got the extra turn. That's what I was waiting for. There we go. And now we can petrify. Let's petrify the Marius. Polymorphed again. I mean, look, if this doesn't drive home, if this does not drive home to you how absolutely dominant Polymorph still is in this meta, I don't know what will, right? We're getting polymorphed left and right. I have Wanna submissions, by the way, on my Shuzen. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. Polymorph, still absurdly broken. Still absurdly overpowered. As it always has been. Nothing has changed. And it's very important that you note this because you're witnessing what happens to these champions that can't do anything because of sheep. It really drives home, man. I'm telling you, it really drives it home. All Wanna submission does is just makes it harder to understand what Polymorph is doing in the first place. All right, we can at least switch over now. We still maintain our buff. Oh, block damage back up. Pain. We got the stun. Didn't get polymorph there. Thank God. Come back around. Do we have our stuff up yet? We don't quite yet. Debuff blocked. Polymorph, boys. Polymorph. Want a submission doesn't solve the problem. It just transfers it to somebody else. Everyone just gets polymorph now. Okay. We won. It was hard. It certainly wasn't fast, but we got it done. Is this the best team to run him with? Probably not. You're probably better off stacking him with a ton of mythicals like I started with and using him without Armands and just using him to do what he does and then letting Marius clear it up. You know, you'd even have Marius hypothetically go first in front of him, knock down buffs, then have him come in, cool down, get rid of the rest. You know, I think the Marius kind of Fabian combo makes the most sense because their skills line up. But all that being said, is he a good champion? Yeah, he's definitely a good champion. He's absolutely a good champion. He is definitely someone you can pull out in arena and do damage with and potentially control people. But if you got anything else out of this showcase, it's that polymorph will wreck him. Whether it's being reflected from Wand of Submission, whether you don't have pinpoint on and it just happens because the A2. How many times did he get polymorphed there in those fights? He got polymorphed relentlessly. Relentlessly. So, because of that, I still really think you are better off building him in pinpoint more than anything else, just to give yourself the absolute best chance not to get polymorphed. And again, if you're facing a Taurus without a Marichka, you have to remember that fear, and I'm guilty of this all the time, that fear is going to eat one of those pinpoint stacks, even if you're in Stone Skin. Stone Skin, I guess, could hypothetically work because it's going to take away the fear at the end. Right? Like the way that order works doesn't really make much sense. You would think that the Stone Skin would block the fear from being placed in the first place, but this is Plarium. Nothing makes sense and it's all inconsistent. So overall, I think this champion is a fantastic champion. I think unlike Armands, he has significantly more counterplay that isn't polymorph, which is good. I don't think he is the most broken champion in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think he is a great arena champ, depending on who you've got around him. Right? Depending on who you got around him, without a doubt, the most limiting part of his kit is the fact that he doesn't get this extra turn unless there are no buffs. And in the current meta, there is always buffs. There is always a Stone Skin, almost always. There's always, if you're facing a competent player, there's always going to be some form of a buff. Bolster, Stone Skin, whatever. And so for that reason, that's the thing that keeps him from being broken. But that's a good thing. We don't want more broken champions in this game. At least I don't. I want champions that are good, that are great in certain scenarios, but that have, you know, legitimate, reliable counterplay. And at least you can say that about Fabian. He does have counterplay, even if he has a really good freaking kit. Now, do I wish the counterplay were not only prey for polymorph for a lot of the champions that debuff? Yes, I do. Do I wish resistance were more viable? Yes, I do, but that's not the world we live in. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this showcase. You know, did Fabian surprise you? I think he's a really good champion. I think he absolutely can go mental. If you can get teams that don't have a ton of buffs or don't have Stone Skin, like if you're facing someone else that's a speed team and maybe you're able to outspeed them in arena and live arena specifically, you know, then he could really pop off. Or again, if you just get the decrease of the buffs, the duration, then you launch into this A2 and suddenly he's cooking. But you know, I'm curious what you guys think. So let me know in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this was informative of how best to build him and how best to make him work. I think I'll probably try to throw him in some arena teams the next time I stream. So it can be a little fun to see what he can do. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you all later. Big Papa Drock